What Iran did here is extremely dangerous. This isn't just a military move, it's also an economic attack. Instead of just hitting military targets, they struck Qatar's gas infrastructure, especially Ras Laffan. This is one of the most important LNG facilities in the world. It contributes significantly to the gas supply, especially in Asia and Europe. When it was hit, even just a single missile was enough to cause a huge impact. There was a fire. Some parts of the facility were damaged, and it might take a long time before things return to normal. The effects were felt almost immediately around the world. Gas prices went up, especially in Europe. This means that not only Qatar was affected, but other countries as well. This is what Iran wanted to happen. If they can't defeat the US militarily, they'll raise the stakes. But before we continue, please like this video. This is a big deal for our brothers.
And creators, maraming salamat po.
They'll make it more expensive, more complicated, and more widely felt around the world. But this is also where what they did becomes dangerous. When energy infrastructure is affected, especially in other countries, the scope of the conflict grows. It's no longer just the US versus Iran. Other countries are being drawn in, and the US knows that. That's why the quick and strong response has a clear reason. An attack like this can't be ignored, because what was hit is important to the global energy supply. This affects the economies of many countries and can cause panic in the markets. If there's no quick response, there's a possibility that this could happen again. And this is where an important point comes in. Is the US able to affect Iran's economy faster than Iran can affect the world? Why? Because even if Iran can cause disruption, their reach is still limited. Meanwhile, the US can target Iran's oil exports, their infrastructure, logistics, and supply chains, and even their internal systems. This means that if the situation escalates, the risk is greater for Iran. It's like they're entering a bigger fight that they can't control, and their opponent is more experienced and stronger at this level. This is where the next move of the US becomes important. This isn't just simple retaliation. It's a clear message. If you try to destroy the global system, we can respond to you more quickly. What's happening here is that the conflict is clearly escalating. It's not just military anymore. Even energy and the economy are being affected. First, Iran hit Ras Laffan in Qatar. Next, they attacked the Mina Al Ahmadi refinery in Kuwait, one of the largest oil refineries in the region. What does this mean? Military bases are no longer the only targets. Even places that supply gas and oil are being hit. It's affecting the whole world now. What does Iran want to achieve? Their strategy is simple. They can't defeat the US in direct military confrontation. That's why they're targeting the economy and global supply. They want the price of oil and gas to go up and force other countries to intervene or pressure the US. For example, the Mina Al Ahmadi refinery can process around 730,000 barrels per day. If it reaches $100 per barrel, that's worth $73 million per day. This means that even if they don't completely destroy it, even just partial damage will have a big impact. But there's a trade-off to this strategy. Yes, they can disrupt the supply, but their enemies are increasing. Before, it was just the US against Iran. But now Qatar, Kuwait, the UAE, and other countries affected by energy are getting involved. When places like these are hit, other countries start to take it more seriously. It's no longer just a simple military conflict. It's becoming a global issue. Why is it important that there are no casualties? Even if there's damage, the workers and engineers are still alive. There's still a chance to fix the facility and operations won't completely stop. If someone died, the situation would have gotten even worse and there could have been a heavier retaliatory attack. How did the cycle start? This is the most dangerous part. Iran attacked a UAE gas field. Israel retaliated and hit the southern parts of Iran. Iran struck back again and hit Qatar. Then there was another attack on Kuwait. It's a cycle of retaliation over and over again. And with every step, the target gets bigger. Why is this dangerous? When energy infrastructure is hit, the supply of gas and oil is affected. Prices go up worldwide, and even countries that have nothing to do with it are affected. That means even if you're not part of the fight, you still feel the effects. In the end, it's clear what's happening. This is no longer just a fight to win militarily. This is being used to make the system costly and chaotic. But as they do this, they're creating more enemies and giving the U.S. and its allies more reasons to retaliate even harder. And in this situation, when the energy sector is being targeted, it's no longer just a fight between two countries. It becomes a conflict that can impact the whole world. The point here is clear. Iran is now deliberately shifting the fight from the military to the economy. They can no longer match the U.S. in terms of military strength. That's why what they're doing now is targeting gas and oil. This means they're disrupting the energy supply so that many countries will be affected and others will be forced to intervene. That's their logic. If they can't win the war, they'll make its effects expensive and chaotic so that everyone will feel it. And in some areas, this has an impact. Ras Laffan in Qatar is not just an ordinary plant. It's one of the largest LNG facilities in the world. So when it was hit, gas prices immediately went up and there was fear of a supply shortage. Another problem is that you can't just shut down and restart this kind of plant easily. If it's suddenly stopped without going through the proper process, the risk of damage is much higher. Because the system is complicated, even if it doesn't completely break down, it can still cause long-term effects. The events triggered a domino effect across the region. Some countries were forced to reduce production, operators became more cautious, and prices continued to rise all over the world. If this continues, the shortage will get even worse. This is where the situation reaches a turning point. Before, the conflict was only within Iran. Now it has reached Qatar, Kuwait, and the UAE. This means the scope of the conflict is expanding. And what's even more dangerous is that energy infrastructure is now being targeted. Before this happened, the U.S. still had limitations on its actions. Even though they could destroy Iran's oil facilities, they avoided doing so. For example, in Karg Island, only military targets were hit, and the oil facilities were left untouched. Why? Because they knew that if they destroyed those, it would have a huge impact on the global economy. But the situation changed. When Iran's South Pars was hit, and Iran retaliated against Qatar and Kuwait, the limitations gradually started to disappear. Both sides are starting to target energy. In the end, what's happening is clear. This is no longer just a fight to win militarily. They're trying to change the way the fight is being waged. From military versus military, it's becoming economy versus economy. And when it reaches this point, it's not just soldiers who are affected. Even the prices of gas, electricity, and food are impacted. And even countries that have nothing to do with it are affected. That's why this is the most dangerous part of the fight. If this completely turns into an energy war, everyone will feel the effects even if they're not part of the war. This is where you'll see how deep this game really goes. This isn't just about gas or oil, but about control over the region's overall dynamics. In the Gulf region, energy isn't just business. This is the main source of the government's money. It's the reason why countries are stable and the basis of their relationships with other countries.
Kapag nasira ang energy infrastructure,
Just business. This key region is being affected. What do they really want to happen? Gas and oil prices go up. Other countries complain and their relationships are shown. It's like they're saying that even if they can't win right away, they can do something else. Why is it dangerous when energy's affected? Countries that are not involved are being affected, impacting the global economy and increasing tensions in different places. And most of all, trust between countries is broken. For example, the South Pars gas field, which is shared by Iran and Qatar. Before, it served as a bridge to improve their relationship. But when places like this are affected, dialogue disappears and is replaced by fear and anger. This is Iran's strategy. Greater chaos increases pressure on the UN. When gas prices go up, there's a shortage and other countries get angry. They can point to the war as the reason and push to stop it. However, this move comes at a high cost. While Iran is doing this, the conflict spreads further. More countries get involved, and the reason to retaliate against them becomes clearer. It's like they're gambling the whole region just to force the U.S. to back down Why does the U.S. need to act? They can't just let this go. If there's no response, the attacks could happen again. Energy prices will rise even more, and control over the situation will be lost. That's why a swift and strong response isn't just about retaliation. It's a message that comes with a warning. This means that if it continues, the consequences will be even heavier. In the end, it's clear where the fight stands. It's no longer just military versus military. This has become a battle between systems. Iran is trying to disrupt energy and movement. The U.S., on the other hand, needs to stop this before it gets worse. And if this isn't controlled, it won't just remain a problem for one region. This could affect the whole world. Here, we will see how the U.S. responds. This isn't just simple retaliation. They hit Iran's most important means of causing trouble. They sent an A-10 Thunderbolt II, an attack aircraft designed to destroy targets on land and sea. Their target was the fast boats of... Why did they target the fast boats? This is one of Iran's most important ways of causing trouble. They don't directly engage the large U.S. ships. Instead, they use small but fast boats that can attack or harass ships. They can also hide and suddenly attack like a hit and run. Why is the Strait of Hormuz important? It's one of the most critical passages in the world. A large portion passes through here. This is one of the main passages in the world. But because of what Iran is doing to reduce the flow, shipping companies are getting scared, and the price of oil and gas is going up. This is Iran's strategy. They want to disrupt the flow of supply, raise the prices, and force the U.S. to back down. They don't need to destroy all the ships. Even just threatening them is enough to cause problems. This is one of Iran's main capabilities to cause trouble. That's why the A-10 comes in. They look for the fast boats and destroy them before they can pass through. This makes the strait safer and reduces the pressure that Iran creates. Why use the A-10? The situation is a turning point because this is suited for this kind of mission. It can fly low, hit targets accurately, and has powerful weapons suited for small and fast targets on the water. In the bigger picture, this is what's happening. Iran wants to control the strait to cause trouble. The U.S. wants to open it up to return the main passage to normal. It's like a tug-of-war over one of the world's most important routes. In the end, the point is clear. What the U.S. did was not just a simple retaliation. It was a cutoff. The major reclaiming of control over the Strait of Hormuz and the reduction of pressure on global energy. This affects not only Iran and the U.S., but the whole world. This is the clear response of the U.S.
Yes, hindi lang nila hinahabol ang mga fast boats, kundi sinisira na nila mismo ang pinanggag.
It's a critical passageway for the whole world. It can move at speeds of over 30 knots. It's small in size, so it's hard to spot right away. They can attack using drones, missiles, and guns. Their style is simple but effective. They come out, attack, run, and hide again. They don't engage in direct combat. Instead, they cause disruption using cheaper and more flexible methods. This is what's called an indirect way of fighting. You don't have to win by force as long as you can keep causing trouble repeatedly. This is where the U.S. had problems before. Their large warships are powerful, but they're not that quick to react to small targets. It's also not efficient for them to catch up with fast boats that move quickly and unpredictably. That's why they have a hard time controlling this kind of threat. This changed when the A-10 Thunderbolt II came in. This became the answer to situations like this. It's faster in the air than boats are on water. It carries a powerful cannon that can destroy small targets in just one pass. This means that no matter how fast the boat is, it can no longer escape easily. But the U.S. didn't stop there. They didn't just target the boats. Worse, they hit where these boats were coming from. They used heavy bombs that can penetrate tough targets before exploding. These are used against places that are strong and well hidden. They hit the places where the attacks were coming from. This includes missile launch sites, coastal bases, and the storage and control areas of the fast boats. What does this mean? The U.S. is no longer just defending. They're not just stopping the attacks, they're now destroying Iran's ability to attack in the future. Their strategy is this simple: destroy the fast boats to eliminate the immediate threat. Destroy the sites they are operating from to prevent the next attack. Reopen the Strait to remove Iran's control over the flow of supply. Because of this, Iran's biggest leverage, control over the Strait of Hormuz, is gradually being lost. And when that is gone, the normal flow of oil and gas will return, the pressure on the global market will decrease, and Iran's main way of causing trouble will disappear. In the end, what the U.S. did is clear. They combined a quick response with a long-term solution. They quickly targeted the boats, and at the same time they destroyed the source of the attacks, and the message is direct. They are not only able to stop what Iran is doing, they can also remove its ability to do that. This is where it becomes clear how serious the U.S. response is. This is no longer just simple retaliation. This is cutting off Iran's ability to attack again. The GBU-72 is a type of bomb that can penetrate the ground or hard structures before exploding. This means it doesn't just explode on the surface. It burrows inside first, before it explodes. Because of this, it can destroy things hidden underground, such as missile sites, storage facilities, and command centers. It is carried by aircraft such as the F-15E and B-1B bomber. It can be launched from far away and is guided to hit precisely. In other words, even if the plane doesn't get close, it can still hit the target directly. The targets it hits are not random. They choose places related to the attack, such as coastal missile launch sites, fast boat bases, and locations where strikes on Qatar and Kuwait originate. Earlier, they were chasing boats that were active at sea, but now they're targeting the sources of the next attacks. This means they're not just stopping the current threat, but also eliminating the possibility of future ones. The message is clear. Iran may be able to attack, but they'll make sure it won't be easy to repeat, and this situation is far from over. According to the U.S. statement, if the disturbances in the Strait of Hormuz continue, they could target power plants inside Iran itself. These are important because they provide electricity, power the fighters, and support communication in daily life. If these are hit, many systems will stop, there will be chaos inside the country, and it will be harder for the military to operate. Here, you can see the bigger picture. Iran hit the oil and gas of another country. The U.S. responded by destroying the sources of the attacks. And now there's a possibility that the next target will be inside Iran itself. This is now a clear escalation. What the U.S. is doing is removing Iran's ability to cause trouble in the Strait of Hormuz, destroying their capacity to attack, and giving a warning that there will be even harsher consequences if they don't stop. And the biggest change is that the fight is no longer just outside the country. Little by little, it's starting to enter Iran itself. And when it reaches that point, it won't just be a simple war. The entire system of the country will be affected. This is the point where the U.S. is no longer just retaliating. They're now trying to weaken Iran's very ability to fight. Right now, the U.S. is taking action on multiple fronts. They're chasing and destroying the fast boats in the Strait of Hormuz. They're destroying missile launch sites with heavy bombs and reducing the number of vessels used for laying mines. This means they're not just stopping Iran from attacking, they're also removing its ability to control the passage. Now, there are two critical things that could happen. First is the energy infrastructure inside Iran itself. There's a clear statement that if the Strait of Hormuz isn't open, power plants and other energy facilities could be targeted. If this happens, many areas will lose electricity, factories and communications will stop, and the military's ability to operate will be further weakened. Second is Karg Island. This is one of the most important places for Iran because a large portion of their oil exports pass through here. It's small and easy to target. If this is hit, or if control over it is lost, Iran will lose its main source of income, their economy will collapse, and they will lose the funds to continue the fight. But this hasn't been done right away. There's also a risk with this kind of move. If a target at this level is hit, the price of oil worldwide could rise even more, the conflict could escalate, and more countries could get involved. That's why for now it's being used as leverage. You can see the strategy of the US here. It's not just about the military, there's also economic pressure involved. They're destroying Iran's ability to attack, weakening their coordination, and putting its economy on notice. What they want is simple: reopen the Strait of Hormuz and stop attacking the oil and gas of other countries. If this doesn't happen, the effects will get worse. It won't just be the military that's affected, but the whole country as well. In the end, the situation is clear. Iran is trying to disrupt the global supply of oil and gas. Meanwhile, the U.S. is gradually weakening Iran's capabilities, from its military to its economy. And this is the most important point. If Karg Island or Iran's power grid is hit, this won't be a simple fight anymore. Their economy could possibly collapse. What does this mean? If this happens, Iran will lose its main source of income. They won't be able to recover quickly. Food or fuel. Not only the military will weaken, but even the government itself. It's like slowly strangling the economy until it reaches a breaking point. This is what's called a waiting game. The U.S. doesn't need to rush the fight. What they'll do is cut off Iran's oil exports and let them spend their remaining money. The longer it takes, the weaker they become. Even if Iran attacks, they're doing it while their resources are running out. It's like fighting when you know you only have limited resources left. Another important part is the U.S. sending Marines. When they make a move like this, it means airstrikes aren't the only option. There's a possibility of a ground operation, and there's one place that's the most logical target: Karg Island. This place is important because a large portion of Iran's oil exports pass through here. It's small and easy to control. Once you gain control here, you hold the country's main revenue stream. When you put everything together, the possible next step becomes clear. Iran is attacking the oil and gas of other countries, while the U.S. is sending Marines and destroying the sources of the attacks. The next step could be control over key oil locations or a complete blockade of exports. The U.S. message is clear. This is not just retaliation. It's a warning. If global energy is disrupted, Iran could lose its own energy source. In reality, it's still uncertain if a ground operation will happen. But the U.S.'s current actions show that they are ready to escalate the level of conflict. This is no longer just defense. There's also economic pressure involved. In the end, the direction of the conflict is clear. This is no longer just about missiles and drones. It has become a battle of one economy against another. Whoever runs out of capability first will be the first to fall. And if Iran's oil revenue is cut off, while the pressure continues, it's possible that not only the military will be affected, but the entire system of the country as well. And this is where the question comes in. How long can Iran endure this situation? As time goes by, it's not just strength that's being depleted. They're also running out of money, time, and their ability to act. If all of these are lost at the same time, their plans won't work. Even if they still have weapons left, it will be hard for them to use them. In this kind of fight, it's not just about who is stronger. What's more important is who can endure longer while the pressure continues, and who can adjust even when things get tough. And if this situation continues, there will come a point when a bigger attack won't be necessary anymore. Even without an additional strike, the opponent will continue to weaken as time passes. In the end, the fall won't be sudden. It happens gradually until the country can no longer function properly. Out.